Hi, I wanted to do a quick overview comparison of the Leica M3 and the Leica M4. My first Leica was the M3. Um, about a year later I got an M4. The big difference that I've noticed between these two is the M3 viewfinder is much nicer. The rangefinder patch is actually bigger, and in my opinion it's easier to focus. Um, what I like about these two cameras is that they both have a self timer. Um, some of the Leica M2s, some of the M42s, and the M4Ps and M6 don't have one. I don't use it that often, but when I need it, it's a really neat uh, thing to have built in the camera. If you want to be in the picture, if you don't have a tripod and you could set it somewhere and you have a slow exposure, it comes in really handy. Some people don't like the loading and the winding on the M3. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It shouldn't dissuade anyone from trying to buy one. I kind of feel a little bit more secure once the M3 is loaded. I know it's fine. It just takes a little bit longer to do, but I think it's a pretty sturdy loading and winding system. The M4 is fine too. It's a little easier to do, but that's not a big deal breaker either way. What may be a deal breaker to some, the reason I got the M4 was because it had the 35 millimeter frame lines. You have that option. Later down the road, even if you get an M3, you'll get the urge to shoot a 35 millimeter lens, and you can get an accessory viewfinder for the M3, but it just won't look as good as actually having that frame line on your camera. Um, on the other hand, if you're shooting a 90 millimeter lens, or even if you one of those that wants to shoot the telephoto, the 135, the M3 is great. And honestly, to me, I think I focus a little bit faster with the M3. What I've noticed recently is that the price for these two cameras is getting to be about the same. It used to be the M3s were a little bit cheaper to buy, but some of the recent prices have been really high. Even on eBay, there's not that big of a gap between them. Uh, they're both the German models. I think they hold their resale value a lot better. When I first started, I wanted to stick just with Leica lenses, but I tried the Zeiss lenses and they're great. Um, if you're going to do color, if I'm going to shoot color, I use this Zeiss lenses specifically. Black and white, gives you that classic vintage look. If you put a hood on it, the resolution is great. To me, the color is a little less muted. Um, the colors just don't pop as well as they do with Zeiss lenses. But for black and white, the Leicas are just sharp. Uh, this Elmar has a little bit more flare, which I tend to like in some situations. The Summicrons flare very little, even without a hood, and the Summilux is supposed to, I haven't tried a Summilux, but a Summilux is supposed to be really good at controlling flare. Um, I made these little straps here by myself. You can just get an old uh, strap and you can cut it down to size. I just put my hand through here. It comes in really handy. And I bought these base plate covers from cameraleather.com. They're about $4. You can pay by PayPal. They're really good. I think they protect the base really well. Um, these both have the self-resetting counter. The M2s still and the M1s have that manual setting counter. I wasn't a big fan of that. The M4 compared to the M3 has a PC sync where if you want to use a flash, you just snap it on. Here with the M3 you have to use an adapter. Some people have reported some issues with the rangefinder spot on the M3. Mine still works really well. I don't think that should be a big issue. But if I was only buying one camera, if I had to do it over again, I love the M3. I find it easier to focus. The patch is great. The contrast is better, I think, than the M4. But if you're just your first Leica, or you want to, I would definitely, if I had to choose one, I would choose an M4. I think it gives you a little bit more. These both hold their value very well, but I think the M4 just gives you a little bit more that you may possibly want down the road. It's really well made. But I haven't tried the Voigtlander lenses. I heard those are really good. Film isn't for everybody, but I still happen to really like it. I actually started with digital cameras and then I went with film. But thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, I'd like to hear from them, and have a good day.